So now we're going to look at activity 2, which is to talk about the flexible design that we can get by using a tabulated drawing for a 16 to 1, 4 by 1, 16 to 1, or 48 to 1 assembly drawing. So let's go ahead. We're going to open a new IAM, which I've done, and I've placed the first one in here. And so I'll place my second one in here. And what's interesting here is I need to rotate it 90 degrees. So I did right click, rotate 90, right click, rotate 90. And that lets me match up the correct shafts. Then I'm going to left click to put it in place and escape. Now, when I do my constraint, I'm going to want these things spread apart a little bit. So I don't want to mate the surfaces. I want to mate my cylindrical surfaces. Then I can put a bolt hole mated with a bolt hole. And I want them offset, and I'll show you why later on, but I'm going to offset them by, say, 2 inches. Okay, and I just know that as this works, right, these shafts, the output shaft from this one will line up with the input shaft. And if these were to be drawn together with a zero offset, it would work right because everything's all lined up. Those are lined up with each other. Okay, so that is making my 16 to 1 assembly. Started with a 4 to 1. Now I've got a 16 to 1, and I'm going to add one more onto there now. I'm going to do this part now too. All right, so I'm going to place another one, and this time it's going to stay where it belongs. Escape. And I'm going to do the same thing. I want to show them apart. And remember, I'm using this axis one because then my offset goes along that axis. And I'm going to, instead of having them right up against each other, I'm going to show them apart by like 2 inches. Now, I might need it longer than that later on, but that's why I can come in here and I can change those numbers if I need to. But you can see how I'll be able to see each of these as they go. Now, the last thing is I'm going to need something to cover this one. My last one will get covered. My first one had a cover on one side. This end plate will cover this one. This end plate will cover the previous one. So I need one more end plate. So now I got to go find my end plate. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to assemble it in the same way. I'm going to do a constraint, which is axial. One, the other, and make them 2 inches apart. So now I've got all of my parts together. Now I'm not showing the bolts. I'm not showing the intermediate drive shafts. Okay, but I've got all my major parts in there. So this becomes my first part of the activity, second part of the activity. Okay, and then we'll start working on how to make that tabulated drawing next.